Hello guys, Alan here and welcome to the channel, and this video begins part 3, which is going to be our final part inside of our conceptual mass series. I kind of want to wrap up with everything in this series so I can move on to the next, because this topic is very broad and it covers a lot of stuff in there. So if you want to learn more about this topic, conceptual massing in Revit, you can send me an email, and you can probably just join my community where I'm actually teaching people how to use the Revit software to the maximum level as they can get. All right, so if you want to learn more about the conceptual massing in Revit, you can send me an email and we can probably study that together in there. All right, so I just want to wrap up with everything on this conceptual massing, because I would love to have a lot of topics on this project to actually teach on. All right, for us to actually model out a building that is going to be in that form. All right, but it's going to be a lot of work for me and it's going to take a lot of time on my channel as well. So I just want to wrap up with this and just show you guys a little bit of stuff on how you can achieve some 1 or 2 stuff in there. Then I call it an end to the conceptual mass series, but probably in the future we might come back again with another series on conceptual massing where we would be designing a building to actually suit that in there. All right, so before I get started in what we have to do in today's video, if you're watching me and you haven't liked or subscribed to my channel, please do make sure you like and subscribe to my channel. It's going to help me out a lot and it's probably not going to cost you anything. All right, so just make sure you like and subscribe to my channel in there, and I'll do what to respond to each and every one of you guys, your comments also as well. So you can drop a comment in the comment section if you have anything that you want to add to this video as well. All right, so I'm gonna get started now. And before I get started with what we have to do in today's video, first of all, I'd like us to kind of load in this roof. Let me use this as a roof. All right, so I'm going to use this geometry or this form you see here as a roof to actually cover up a building. All right, so I'm going to show you guys how we can actually load this up in Revit, and how we can add some curved trusses to actually fit exactly with this shape that we have in here. All right, so I'm going to delete all of this stuff in there. Just make sure I just make a broad selection and make sure I do not select the reference plane lines in there. All right, just make sure you do not select those ones, and just delete this and deselect this ones, and also make sure you deselect this one as well. Perfect. So now we can just delete the rest of the stuff in there. All right, so we are going to load this into a project. So what we're going to do now is we are going to go into file, we are going to go into open, and we are going to go into project. And with this, we are going to open an existing project which I don't want, so I'm going to cancel out of there. I want to go to new in there, go into project, and with this I'm going to find the metric architectural template and I'm going to open this up. All right, this is perfect. So now I'm going to load in that this shape in here inside of Revit, and we are going to attach some trusses to this and see how we can actually get trusses to actually fit exactly to this shape right here. All right, so we are going to get started now, and so I'm going to go into load into project, and it's going to ask me, it's going to load into the project and going to give me a pop-up menu that Revit has enabled the show mass mode for the newly created mass will be visible. All right, so I'm going to close out of there, and we have that mass inside of the Revit software in there. And you notice we have this warning in here. That is because Revit doesn't recognize, I've placed 2 of those. Revit doesn't recognize that as a form of geometry which is entirely enclosed in there, so it's going to give us that error message in there. All right, so if I should go into the 3D view in there, let me get back into level 1 and go into the 3D view inside of this. You notice we've placed that twice. All right, so I'm going to delete this one and just leave this one. All right, I'm just going to leave this one. So this form we see right here is going to serve as a roof for a building. All right, it's going to serve some sort of like a roof for a building for me. All right, so I'm going to show you guys how we can attach trusses to actually fit with this in there. All right, so now I'm going to go into my massing and site, and with this I'm going to go into roof. All right, and after selecting the roof, I'm going to select this one, and with the thickness I'd want to also change that to maybe 1.2 is fine, and just select that roof in there and then create roof. All right, it's going to take a second, and perfect. So we have this created now in there, so we can now turn off our show mask, and we're still going to have that in there. All right, now if I should go into, let me turn this on back and go back into realistic. All right, and let me go into realistic so you guys can see what's happening in there. Now you notice we have this kind of like white kind of shape showing inside of this form that we have in here. All right, we have this kind of form, white, looking like a zebra kind of style finish in there, but when we go right beneath that, you notice we do not have that in there. Now that is because of the conceptual mask we have in there, which is showing in this in there. So if I should turn this off, you notice it's not showing in there, nor is it showing beneath that. All right, so if you turn the show mask on, it's going to show right in there. All right, so that's just one thing you need to know, by the way. I just wanted to show you guys that. And we also have I have a series on roof where we have the plumb cut and edge as well, so we can change this to the plumb cut and edges as well if we want to make that a roof. All right, you can use that settings and also change all of those in there. And there's one more thing I'd also want to change, and you notice here we have the pick face location. We have the face at the top of the roof, and we have faces at bottom of roof. So if we should change this to bottom of roof in there, and now we have our show mask still turned on, but we notice we don't have those white finishes on the front. But if we should go to the bottom in there, we also do not have that in there as well. All right, so we've changed that to the bottom in there by just clicking on that, and by just clicking on this, just make sure you select that form in there. Let me just move around. Perfect. So we've changed that by just checking this to faces at the bottom of the roof. So if I should bring this back to the top of the roof, and let's wait a second and just get out of there, you notice we have this white forms in there. All right, so I'm going to turn this off, and we are going to start off with the trusses. All right, so I'm going to go into level 1, or I'm going to go into site. All right, I'm going to go into the side view, and we have this here. All right, or I can go into the 3D, get into the front, and let me just rotate this a little bit. Let me rotate this to be probably just straight. Let me get this to be a little bit straight in there. Now you notice with my machine, it's kind of like loading up a while in there. It's kind of like loading up in there. Now this is going to depend on the kind of machine you are using. All right, the specs of your machine and all of that is going to depend on all of that in there. All right, let me get into level 2 and see. Okay, so I think I'm fine with the side view. I'm fine with that one. Now I'm going to go into steel in there, and I'll have to load in some trusses. All right, and let me get into structure, and we have the truss in here. All right, so I'm going to click on that, and it's going to access to load one in. So I'm going to click on yes, and with this I'm going to go a folder back in there, and I'm going to go into the English metric system. And after in the English metric system, I'm going to find the structural trusses in there, and we have a lot of trusses in here, so you can select these and then use the arrow key to go down to actually select the one of the particular truss that you want. But I'm going to use the M route flat truss in there. All right, I like this one. I'm going to open this eye out that truss in there. All right, so I'm going to pull this to somewhere around here and end this here, and escape out of there, go into the 3D view, and I can just this is going to be a very huge truss in there. So after selecting it, with the truss height, I'm going to change this to about 3.8 meters in there, which is fine. And then I'm going to go to attached top base and then select this in there. All right, so we have this going all the way up, going to be selected with that, and this is perfect. And now this is now attached to this in there. So we have this truss exactly fitting to that, and what we want to do now is we can down select this truss in there, because you're not going to leave it like this definitely. And then you can go into edit profile in there, and after going into your edit profile with bottom chord, and let's select the pick line, let's select this one, and let's just bring this down a little bit in there. This is perfect. Let's delete this out of there, and then we can finish this one. All right, so we need to do that for the top and the bottom. So now let's give the bottom as well. And now let's finish this off. All right, so it's going to finish off in there, and perfect. So now we have this truss kind of like fitting exactly with the shape in there. So this is how you can get all these trusses, and also you can do the same procedure for your beams as well. But with the beams, you would have to use maybe a wall to actually attach to the base, and then use the beam on the wall before you actually put it on the structure, on this roof face that you have in there. So this is how you can come off with this inside of that in there, and how you can actually create all those trusses to actually hold this in shape or in form. All right, so I'm going to end here on this series in here, because I really want to skip this conceptual mass series. I really want to skip this series and move on to the next topic inside of Revit, because it's very broad and quite very stressful. So I really want to move on with this, and I've had a lot of requests from people, so I'd want to end here and take off in the next part in our series. So if you have anything that you want to add, or you still want to study this conceptual mass series personally by yourself, you can send me an email, and I'll do what to respond to you guys, and also be able to help you out to actually study the conceptual massing that we have inside of the Revit software. It's been an amazing 3 video episode for this series, and I'll catch you guys in the next part. Peace out. I'm still working real hard on a Saturday, a future I don't see from a mile away.